We began the process of looking for a house in Bristol for Catherine and came across a suitable detached house. The garage had been converted into a small hairdressing salon, an ideal area for dog grooming. It was also near to the Bristol to Bath cycle path, with access to parks for dog walking. Paul passed his driving test and set about insulating his van and building a bed in it. He drove over to the Avignon Festival and 2 weeks later headed north to the Malcolm Yoga Festival in Sweden. He covered about 5,000 miles. Over the summer, Offa's Tykes performed at several locations, including Chepstow Castle, for the big picnic to which 200 people came. Unfortunately, with no amplification, we could hardly be heard. We drove to Watford for the wedding of Emily and Joshua, and there we met with Charles and his fiancée Rachel. They married a year later and moved to San Antonio. The 4+1 band were booked to perform at the Toast venue in Tuts Hill for Bob and Pauline Sybil's diamond wedding anniversary. We played 3 sets, the first as background music as people arrived and chatted, the second more upbeat for listening to, and the third to definitely get up and dance to, which they did. It was a boost to our confidence, and the people there really seemed to be enjoying themselves. John French organised a recording session for the 4+1 band at the Mackenzie Hall in Brockwere. From this I produced an introductory video. We began 2018 with 2 meals in Bristol, one to celebrate Jan's 70th birthday and the other on the eve of Sky's journey to Uganda for a 3-month stay in Tororo, working with a UK government scheme to help local entrepreneurs. The team consisted of young people from both the UK and Uganda. On first arriving there, Sky suffered from a bit of culture shock, the loo being a hole in the ground away from the house where he was living, and the water being collected from a communal tap in the village, and then having to be filtered because of the danger of cholera. This was accompanied by the nighttime battle with mosquitoes and the very basic food provided by their host. Sky's team of 3 helped 6 businesses with advice and the granting of loans. On Mother's Day, we joined Paul and Catherine at her home for a meal and chatted with Sky on Skype in Uganda. Then I put together a video montage of Sky's time in Africa. At the beginning of March, there was a cold spell called the Beast from the East, with much snow and ice, which meant that several events had to be cancelled or postponed. Fortunately, the thaw came just in time for the Big Bad Wolf concert at the Drill Hall, where 150 members of Chepstow U3A had gathered. Yes, we were nervous, but it seemed to go down well. Quite an achievement for the four of us.
How much is that dog in the window? The one with the wiry tail. How much is that dog in the window? I do hope that doggy, I do hope that doggy, I do hope that doggy's for sale. Meow! Just like I do you. Hold me, love me, hold me, love me. Ain't got nothing but love. 8 days a week, 8 days a week, 8 days a week. Save it, save it, save it from the squeeze. Nothing but love will try to make me. If it's life of luxury, waiting on a sunny afternoon. In summertime, in summertime. So hoist out the John B. sail. Somehow the mainsail sets. All for the captain ashore. Let it go home. Let me go home. I wanna go home. While things are going, I wanna go home. Don't forget who's taking you home. My dear is what you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me. Save the last dance for me. Save the last dance for me.
The Offa's Tykes Ukulele Band performed at the Chepstow U3A summer party held at the rugby club. There were over 200 people there. An article appeared in the U3A magazine referring to Jan as the convener of the ukulele group and a lady who likes cleaning windows, and continued, she has an interesting story to tell about how she started playing the ukulele. Seeing some for sale in Lidl at a very reasonable price, she decided to buy one. Doubts about its performance vanished when she played it and realised that she had bagged a bargain. The rest is history. Does Lidl know the part they've played in U3A history? What a wonderful achievement of Janet's in starting this group and keeping it going and bringing such pleasure and joy. Is there a more pleasant way of spending an afternoon than listening to this group in Jan's spacious conservatory? The many smiling faces at the fortnightly practice said it all. This unique lady, who loves to be busy, clearly has her own ideas and marches to the rhythm of her own ukulele. Elizabeth and John travelled west on the canal system through to Gloucester, and we drove over to Slimbridge, home of Peter Scott's Wetland Centre, where we met up at the Tudor Arms for a meal. Pam and John came to stay. We had a good walk from Bigswear Bridge up to Pennyfan and along the ridge to the market garden, and from there down to Brockweir, the Moravian church, and lunch at Brockweir Inn. Then back along the River Wye bank to Bigswear Bridge. Took Pam and John to see Catherine and Skye for a meal and heard about Skye's Ugandan experiences. Four Plus One performed at the Abergavenny Food Festival. The large stage and PA system were all in place for us, and the professional engineers there ensured that we were properly balanced. It was lunchtime when we played, and the audience sat on hay bales set out in the front of the stage. A week later we were playing at the Taurus Crafts Vintage Fair. In the second half, a rather drunk man approached Pam saying that he wanted to sing. Pam allowed him to do so, but he got a bit too friendly and had to be constrained.
The dancers may be on the floor, dear, but my eyes will see only you. Only you have that magic technique. When we sway, I grow weak. I can hear the sound of violins long before it begins. Make me thrill as only you know how. Sway me smooth, sway me now. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your mommy's in love.
We drove up to Shire Oaks with party food and other bits and pieces to celebrate Dad's 90th birthday. Elizabeth joined us. The 90 sparkler didn't quite work as intended.
We are 90. Did you get it?
Yeah, you do get it.
Did you appreciate it?
Yeah, I wasn't burnt. My hands are in a bad state, I tell you. How's that? How do I like that?
Mitty became very weak, and Skye caught the train from London. Having heard that he was on his way to say goodbye to his lifelong friend, the train conductor gave him a first-class seat, a cup of coffee and a slice of cake. Paul, Jan and Chris went over to join Catherine and Skye, and we all sat with an ailing Mitty. Mitty and Skye were almost the same age, and Catherine used to call him her angel in a fur coat. A week later his condition was such that Catherine and Skye decided that the kindest thing was to have him put down by the vet. A speed camera recorded Chris travelling at 35 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. There was the choice of a fine and 3 points on his licence, or attendance at a 4-hour-long speed awareness course. The latter, at the Newport Holiday Inn, was chosen. During the year, Margaret organised a number of art sessions with Mum and Dad at Oaklow, and helped them to make 6 Christmas cards with personal messages using their own words for their 6 children. Very moving. After a walk along the coast at Clevedon with Catherine, we drew up plans for a dog grooming salon in the garage. Catherine purchased a dog grooming kit and began a weekly training course. After completing the 3-month course, Kevin started work on the dog grooming parlour, and Catherine purchased a raising and lowering table, a bath and dryers. Soon she had clients and posted on Facebook before and after photos of the dogs she had washed, clipped and groomed. Very impressive. We helped Catherine to stencil paint paw prints on the walls of her new dog grooming room, and then assembled a pet dryer which we christened Diablo because it took us 4 hours to build. After a performance at Malpas Court, Lynn the organiser gave Big Bad Wolf a tray of 12 cupcakes by way of a thank you. At the next band practice, as I was bringing coffee and cupcakes into the room, I tripped over Elaine's music stand and crashed into my chair, which broke in several places and took some of the impact, leaving me with a swollen knee, sore chest and wrist. I volunteered to take over from Terry Walters the layout using publisher of the monthly Chepstow U3A magazine. One day, on the Pierceville Woods walk, I met 3 delightful dogs, and then around the bend their owner, who was on the phone. I waved and she smiled, and then I realised that it was Kate Humble, who lives in the Wye Valley.